Hey there guys, this is Reckles with Want to Buy Gold, and I hear y'all want a Brutosaur. What if I showed you a way to get a Brutosaur in a month? What if I showed you a way to get a Brutosaur in 4 days? So let's get talking about how to farm primals. These are the crafting reagents from Burning Crusade, and I actually did a whole video that I'll link here on the history of the elemental crafting reagents and how they've evolved over time. So go check that out if you want. It's a fun video. But as far as this video, where I'm going to go over the gold per hour of the individual items, then I'm going to go over the best ways to farm them if you're solo, and then I'm going to go over the best ways to farm them if you have a group. Okay, so I said you can get a Brutosaur in 4 days. Let me explain. This story is the best example of someone taking advantage of an opportunity in WoW that I've ever heard. So I had a friend, the first time Trial of Style came around, that he noticed he was selling every primal heir he could put up on the auction house for 5,000 gold a piece. That's a crazy markup. But people were crafting all this armor in order to win the Trial of Style, so he was just selling them like candy. All he did for the next 4 days was farm up primal heir. He was multi-boxing, he knew what to do, where to go, and over the course of the next 4 days, he farmed up and sold 5 million gold worth of primal heir. Now, I'm not saying that that will happen to you. In fact, it probably won't. But you know what? If you start farming this stuff, you learn where the best spots are, then that's step number one. You got to be playing the game. So, these are the prices on an average server according to theunderminejournal.com and the quantity sold according to WoW Auction. These are the average server. So, as you can see, prices are generally between like 200 gold and 1,000 gold depending on the item. Air is the most expensive, and earth is just junk. So for most of this video, we're just going to be ignoring earth. Primal Might is a combination of 5 of them, so it sells for the most. But you're not really going to be moving a whole lot of product here. As you can see, like nothing is selling more than 13 a day. But they are decently expensive. So 5,000 gold a day, 2,000, 1,000, 2,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. You're selling 25. The average server is buying 20,000 gold worth of these primals a day, which means they're buying 600,000 gold a month. Now, if you can just get 20% of that, maybe you go ham on this and you can get 50% of that income, then that's a fantastic boost to your income. And as you can see here, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. If you were to supply the entire auction house's need, you would only have to farm about an hour a day. And if you just focused on the most profitable ones, that's fire, mana, and might, you'd only have to farm, what is that, like 45, 50 minutes a day. That's solo. Now, in a group farm, you're able to get between 2 and 10 times the loot because group farms are fantastic and a great way to optimize. And in a group farm, you'd only need to farm for, what is that, like 15, 20 minutes a day, less than 20 minutes a day. And if you focus on just the top 3, you're still getting 400,000 gold a month. This is in addition to all your current content crafted stuff. So let's scroll down because I have one more thing to talk about real quick. And this, it's kind of a combination of the Dalaran server and the Zul'jin server. So it's essentially a high pop server. How much gets sold on a high pop server compared to an average server? Because lots of y'all are playing on high pop, right? On a high pop server, regular Primal Fire was only selling 15 a day. On a high pop, it's 150. All of these numbers are essentially 10 times what they're selling on a standard server. So that means the daily gold value, the daily volume of this stuff is 200,000 gold, and the monthly volume is 7 million. Now, you're going to have to undercut more often. If you're on a Hypop server, you know this. But 7 million gold is a lot. And check this out. If you do this, and if you decide you are going to be the Primal King, you only have to farm 3 hours a day in order to supply the auction house with the 5 million gold it demands from mana, shadow, and fire. So, let's talk about where to go in order to farm these up. Alright, first up for the solo farms is Primal Fire, and we're going to be going to the Throne of Kil'jaeden, which is located in Hellfire Peninsula at coordinates 6320. Now, here we're going to be killing Incandescent Fellsparks, which actually just got a new model with BFA pre-patch, so they look pretty now. They're not 4 polygons, but the route is really easy. You're just running around in a circle, killing them all. I actually do kind of a figure 8 thing with them, but I recommend doing this on a druid if you can. Moonfire is absolutely phenomenal, and here's a Moonfire macro that you can use. I'd also recommend for any of these farms that if you have a 110 to 115 leather wearer, like a demon hunter or a druid, then get them the Sentinel's Eternal Refuge and stop XP. You need, if you're going to farm seriously, you need a twink. The Sentinel's Eternal Refuge, you automatically get flight form when you exit combat, so you never have to waste time mounting. You can just go mob to mob to mob, and it actually somehow triples the amount of loot that you get. I've sent Blizz a lot of messages about this without any responses, but hopefully we can get some kind of consumable that gives us the same function. So, like, I want to play end-game I don't want to have to choose between in-game content and farming. You should be able to do both, and it's just not feasible. Only other thing to know about this farm is that the humanoids, they don't die. So if you accidentally aggro them, you're going to be stuck in combat. You won't be able to mount up. So you'll have to outrange them and get them to evade. All right, on to Primal Air. Primal Air is used to make a lot of really expensive transmog, like the Fletcher's Gloves of the Phoenix. The pattern comes from Sunwell, and these sell for like 150,000 gold. Most of my leatherworking restocking from Burning Crusade involves primal aircrafts. But we're going to be killing enraged air spirits at Netherwing Pass. There's 2 spots you can farm these at that give about the same results, but I like Netherwing Pass personally when I'm solo. So the route's a little complicated. You start right at the pass, and then you go clockwise around the little crystal area. You'll very quickly learn where the individual mobs are, but once you get at the southwest corner or the southeast corner of the zone, go over the mountain range, and there's a little pocket of like 5 enemies that you can just kill there. One of them is going to be stuck inside the rocks, so don't worry about that guy. But then just head west and follow along the edge of the cliff and kill all the enemies you see along there. Once you get to the totem guy, turn around and go back to the pass, and that's your lap. Easy peasy. You'll get about 26 per hour. For Primal Life, we're going to be going to the Underbog, and Primal Life also has some really expensive crafts. The Sun-Drenched Scale Gloves, this pattern is also from Sunwell, sell for 100,000 gold. The prices on these crafts are nuts because they're gated behind a very low drop rate recipe. So for Primal Life, we want to be killing the enemies in the first part of the Underbog. I set it to Heroic. I don't think the drop rates change, but just in case, I go to Heroic. You clear out the first room, and if you want a couple little bonus enemies, you can go up the little ramp, hug to the left of the first boss. Don't aggro him or you won't be able to reset the instance. And then there's some more like giants up there. Now, everything in this first little area has a 20% chance to drop 2.25 blah blah blah. 15 primals per 10 runs per lockout, and you can do each lap in a minute or two. Oh, and everything drops primal life except for the spore bats. Alright, Primal Mana is next, and this spot's dope. We're going to Kirinvar Village in Netherstorm, Southeast Netherstorm, and we're killing Mana Seekers and Mage Slayers. Now, Karazhan used to be the best way to get Primal Mana, but because the Karazhan dungeon was added, that side entrance doesn't work, and it's not worth it to run through the entire thing, and I don't think you can even reset it anymore. We're like this particular spot. Essentially, there's a whole bunch of ghosty goos. You just run around in a circle, and they're really, really close together. Like you don't even have to mount up in between each mob because everything's so just right there. But you know, if you have a speed set, feel free to equip that because the faster you can move from enemy to enemy, the better. The only other thing worth noting here is that they're immune to arcane damage, so Moonfire doesn't work on them. You're gonna have to go into balance spec and use Sunfire on them, but that will kill them. You just lose a little bit of speed. But the spot is fantastic. I was getting consistently solo 50 to 60 primals per hour. They're really packed together, and they have a really good drop rate. All right, Primal Water. For this solo farm, we're actually going to Black Temple. There are a couple good spots where you can farm up some Primal Water, but Black Temple is just short and sweet, really easy. Right before the first boss, there are two little side rooms where there's about 20 or so little baby water elementals each. So you run through, you kill those. You can taunt in the two water elementals right next to the boss. Just make sure you don't aggro the boss, of course, so don't use any AoE to pull them. But that gives you a little bit extra. And in 2 minutes, you're able to get about 20 motes of water each, which gives you about 2 primals per lap. And that ends up getting you 20 primals in 20 minutes, which is great. Like, there's nothing else really compares. You do have to deal with the lockout. That's the only problem. For Primal Shadow, we've got another spot that just feels broken, and that's because it is. This is a good spot. So we're going to the Void Ridge in Hellfire Peninsula. It's on the southeast side of the zone, and we're killing the various Void Walkers. They all have different names, so it's kind of annoying for targeting macros. But like in just like solo, I was able to get about 60 here, and that's just, it's silly. Like that's too many for solo. The only problem with these is that unlike the Primal Mana spot, these are really spread out. It's a pretty big area. So Sentinel's Eternal Refuge does a lot of work here. If you don't have a twink, farm this on a druid if possible. All right, Primal Earth. Look at this. They sell for 20 gold. You only sell 10 a day. This isn't worth your time farming. But if you absolutely need it for a craft or whatever, then go ahead. You get about 15 an hour if you go out mining. So just mine around Nagrand or Netherstorm or wherever you farm for Corium, and just try to get some Corium and the motes of Earth will come. I tested every enemy that drops all of these motes, including Primal Earth, so I'll talk about a group farm spot later. So that should be good enough to get y'all started. Dip your toes into the waters of primal farming. But I have a secret. I have something special where I'm making a little supplementary video for this that I'll link here, but I'm not going to link it until tomorrow. So save this video, come back, and this is going to be the only place you can click on this. It's going to be unlisted. It's going to be super on the DL, but this farming route is it's a 15-minute lap where you get 5 different primals and you get 40 in total. So this really helps you get really fast gold if that's what you need, because you're kind of shotgunning your goods on the auction house. All your eggs aren't in one basket. So like the video, save the video, come back to it tomorrow, and it'll be up. I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to upload it though. All right, on to group farming. So group farming is a really efficient way of farming this stuff up. And the reason why group farming is so good, if you haven't ever group farmed before, is essentially all of these enemies that we're farming force spawn. And what that means is they're quest mobs, and you can never kill all of them. You're never waiting around for them to respawn, because as soon as you kill the last one, another one instantly spawns somewhere else. So what we can do is we can get 5 druids together in a group, spread out so that every enemy spawn point is within Moonfire range of someone, and then everyone just spams a targeting macro that casts Moonfire, and you just kill. Now, if the enemy has a 2-minute despawn timer, then you want to kill for 2 minutes straight. No looting, just every global cooldown is spent on casting Moonfire and killing something. It helps if the leader puts up a macro like this. This is my personal kill macro. And then after those 2 minutes are up, you do a pull timer macro, 60-second pull timer. And during that 60 seconds, every group member mounts up and flies around to every pile they can reach in that 60 seconds and loots everything that everyone else killed and gets back to their spot within 60 seconds. So that's a crash course in how to do group farms. If you have any other questions, talk to us on Discord, ask us questions down there. Any problems you come in with, like how do I mark things, how do I, any questions, we're here for you. All right, so for group farming Primal Fire, we're going back to the Throne of Kil'jaeden in Hellfire Peninsula. We're going back to the Incandescent Fellsparks, but rather than getting 20 to 60 an hour, with the group farm, you can get 200 an hour. The most I've heard any one person getting, any one group member getting, is 240 per hour. That's nuts. That's so much gold. These sell for 500 gold a piece. So that's like 140,000, 180,000, 120,000 gold per hour once it all sells. That's nuts. That's a lot. So here is where I recommend you put every person in the group. One important little distinction is that the people on the far east and the far west, they kind of get shafted. They don't have a lot of bodies in range when they go to loot. So if you want to be fair, rotate in the guys on the outside. Like swap the guy in the middle and the guy on the outside every 20, 30 minutes or so, depending on how long you're farming, just so everyone gets about the same amount of loot. For Primal Air, we're going to the other Primal Air farming spot. This is in the north of Shadowmoon Valley, and this is the Altar of Shadar, in between Altar of Shadar and the Black Temple. All along this ridge, enraged air spirits spawn, and here's where I recommend you put the markers for each person to stand on. One kind of tricky thing with this farm in particular is that everything's so spread out that you can only really loot your own bodies. So you don't get a whole bunch more primals per hour, but you're just killing things so much faster that you don't have to move around as much. So this is one of the few farms where it might be better to not actually do 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. Just like have people loot as they run around. It's really up to you, but you can expect here, whereas solo you can farm 25 Primal Air an hour, here you can farm between 25 and 50. That's a good range. For Primal Life, we're not going to be doing the dungeon. We're going to be farming Bog Lords in Quag Ridge in Zangarmarsh. Oh god, WoW words are ridiculous. They're also kind of spread out, but the area is a loop, so everyone's in range of everyone else's mobs. Just because it is so spread out, you might want to give your group a little bit more than a minute to loot things. Maybe do a ready check once you get back to your position if you're leading the group. But here, you can expect about 80 primals per hour compared to the 20 per hour you were getting in the instance. For primal mana, we're going back to Kirinvar Village, and we're killing the Mana Seekers and the Mage Slayers. And this farm is just as good in a group as it is in person. You're looking at about 50 to 100 primals per hour per person in the group. This farm gets better the more you do it. Like everyone kind of, the enemies patrol around a lot. So in a group, it's kind of like, oh, is that yours? Are you going to kill that? Is that my enemy that I need to kill every time it spawns? But once your group kind of meshes together and figures out who's got what, then you can really start speeding up how quickly you're killing things. Only other thing to talk about here is that you can get a lot of use out of AoE looting. So really try to pay attention to getting 2 bodies looted at the same time and like picking the right piles as you go around. I think you can loot everything in 9 or 10 loots, even though there's like 30 bodies spread over. Now, Primal Water is just super easy. We're going to the Coilscar Point Cave. This is the Cobra Scale farm, if you're familiar with that from skinning. And we're killing enraged water spirits rather than going inside Black Temple. For this farm, you actually only need 3 people, where there are 2 little ponds. You have 1 person stand on the pond on the east, and you have 2 people stand at either end of the pond on the west. Now, that is enough to get the force spawn rolling and take care of everything. Everyone might have to wiggle around a little bit to reach all the enemies, but if you want to add a 4th person to this farm, put them in the west pond, and then if you want to add a 5th person, there's actually 1 enemy that spawns right in the middle that's not in either of the 2 ponds. And this particular spot is actually really good if any of you out there have little ones that want to do gold farming like mom and dad do, then you can just park them here. They don't have to move. They can just kill that, and they're helping and getting the force spawns rolling even faster for everyone else. So this is actually where I hang out when I'm streaming, because I'm trying to read chat and I get really easily distracted. In case you haven't noticed. Next, we're going back to Primal Shadow, and we're going back to the Void Ridge. But rather than just having everyone kind of spread out, this has some very specific instructions. So there are 4 portals in the Void Ridge that all of these Void Walkers spawn out of. Have 1 person go around and just kill everything all around them, and then as soon as they start spawning out of the portals, just start mowing them down. But as you can see here, they actually slow down if you're standing right on top of the portal, but if you have everyone in the group stand about 20 to 30 yards away from the portal, then they'll just instantly spawn. And it's absurd. Like, I'm talking 1,000 to 2,000 motes per hour. Like, just crazy amounts of primals from this spot. It's really fun. And the even crazier thing is, this isn't from looting everyone else's kills. This is just from looting your own kills, because you never run out of enemies to kill here. It's really, really good. Primal Earth, I don't want to talk about, but if you need it, the best place to get it is the Sundered Thunderers in Netherstorm by Forge Base Oblivion. These are actually the only Earth elementals that force spawn. There are some out in Netherstorm that kind of force spawn sometimes, but I don't really understand how those work, so I'm not going to recommend them. This is the best place to get Primal Earth. But honestly, it's not that much better than mining. All right, so that's all the farm stuff, but there's one more, and we need to summon it.
Let our powers combine. Earth,
fire, wind, water.
Mana.
By your powers combined, I am
Primal Might.
Golden!
So the last one is Primal Might. It's the most expensive. It sells for 3,000 to 7,000 gold on an average server. You make it by combining earth, fire, air, water, and mana. One of each of those costs about 2,000 total. So every one of these that sells, you're doubling your money. It's a transmute, so it can proc. The recipe is bought from a vendor. So like there's just no reason not to be keeping 20 of these up on the auction house all the time. It's just free gold. Craft a stockpile of these, put them up on the auction house, and make a bunch of gold from these. If you have an alchemist, there's no reason not to do this. So, with that, our grand total potential primal profit is about 20 to 26,000 gold per day. I really hope this helps get you guys started. In closing, remember that while this is great gold, it's really easy to farm up and just get a stockpile, put it up on the auction house. I do consider this a supplementary income. Please do your current content crafting first. Current content stuff is about 250,000 gold per week per profession if you're farming up your own mats. And so that's like 1,000,000 gold a month with 5 minutes a day of restocking and reposting effort. It's easy. So do that first, and then when you need more gold and you get greedier, go out and farm these. But this is officially everything I know about primals. So I hope y'all have a great day. Remember to come back and check out that secret bonus video that I talked about. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Good luck and happy gold making.